All right. Headphones low. All right, there we go. Headphones are sounding decent. Think the mic sounding decent. All right, if anybody is watching this at home, just let us know how the audio sound. Feel. No, that's right. That's right. I'm tripping. All right, we are we are at Nicholas Conservatory for the Food Truck Tuesday protest that we have weekly been engaging in and we have weekly taken part in. I think I'm gonna do this one a little bit different than we did some of the other ones. We've read through the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force pamphlet. We've read through this multiple times down here at Food Truck Tuesday. Oh, look, I'm not even. I guess I should be. That's sort of part of the difference. I think I'm gonna put more attention on the people that's watching it from there than people watching it here. But we've read through this pamphlet multiple times now. So instead of continuing to just strictly read from this pamphlet during the protest, I'm gonna do this live, speak about the pamphlet some, and then we're just gonna do a couple different lives on a few different platforms. Just try something different this week. Okay, this is the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force pamphlet. Within this pamphlet, there are different cases of police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice that have taken place in the city. The commonality that all of these cases have is that they were all investigated by the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force. They were all found to be justified, and all the officers that were listed as taking people's life or using deadly force, all of those officers returned back to work after these findings, and the majority of these officers still patrol the streets of Rockford, Illinois, and Winnebago County today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through the introduction of the Winnebago Integrity Task Force, read through the table of contents of the Winnebago Integrity Task Force, talk about a few things that's within the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force pamphlet, and then I'm going to we'll shut down this Facebook app, and I'm going to open up a different app and do a different live on a different app. But let's start by reading the contents of the introduction. The Winnebago Integrity Task Force was assembled in 2010 in an effort to investigate officer-involved shootings and in-custody deaths in the Winnebago County area. It was later expanded in 2013 to include Boone County. Introduced to the public nearly a year after the murder of Mark Barmore by Rockford police officers Oda Poole and Stan North, the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force was created in an effort to, quote, improve transparency, end quote, and, quote, bolster public perception, end quote, Theo Glover, the chairman of the task force, stated in 2010. However, despite the reasoning for its creation, the task force has not improved transparency nor bolstered public perception among the community. With each shooting and in-custody death that the task force justifies, regardless of the evidence or witnesses presented, it breeds a distrust of the process the city leadership has elected to put in place surrounding police use of force. In some cities, the Integrity Task Force includes community members along with police officers to ensure that people outside of law enforcement not only play a role in the decision-making process, but they are also kept informed along the way of the investigation. However, that is not how the task force in Winnebago and Boone County has assembled itself, nor how its investigations have been conducted. In the following passages, we will present multiple cases that the Integrity Task Force has investigated over the length of its existence. We will provide as much pertinent information as possible about each of these officer-involved shootings and in-custody deaths, including, but not limited to, the name of the victim, the name of the officer or officers involved in the event, the date of the event, the ruling of the task force, and the dates of the ruling being released. All information included in this pamphlet is public knowledge and can be accessed with internet searches. We have not personally written anything included in the pamphlet past this point. I'm going to read the table of contents here real quick. Mark Barmore, murdered August 24th, 2009 by the Rockford Police Department. The murder was found to be justified. Michael Sago Jr., murdered October 1st, 2011 by an off-duty Winnebago County Sheriff Deputy. The murder was found to be justified. Philip Johnson, murdered January 28th, 2012 by the Rockford Police Department. The murder was found to be justified. Logan Bell, murdered October 11th, 2012. The murder was found to be justified. Demetrius Bennett, murdered November 1st, 2012 by the Rockford Police Department. The murder was found to be justified. Eddie Patterson, murdered November 5th, 2017 by the Rockford Police Department. The murder was found to be justified. Kerry Blake, murdered December 30th, 2018 by the Rockford Police Department. The murder was found to be justified. Gino Washington died under unknown circumstances inside the Winnebago County Jail, and the events around his death were ruled to be justified, and no correctional officers were reprimanded or had faced any punishment for Gino Washington dying in their custody. Joseph McCormick, who the Winnebago County Jail claimed committed suicide, whose family stated that they spoke to him 12 hours, less than 24 hours before he allegedly committed suicide, and that he did not sound suicidal, nor had he displayed suicidal tendencies in their past dealings with him. Mikey Guzman ran down on August 23rd, 2020 by a South Beloit police officer. Mikey Guzman was not being searched out on a warrant. Mikey Guzman was not under any type of investigation. It was just the reckless endangerment of a police officer. But since he was a police officer, after he ran Mikey Guzman down and took his life, cut his life short, he was found justified in that manslaughter and sent back to work. Tyrus Jones, shot October 2nd, 2020 by the Rockford Police Department. Tyrus Jones was shot while he was running away by the Rockford Police Department. Tyrus Jones was shot while he was unarmed by the Rockford Police Department. And the shooting of Tyrus Jones, an unarmed black man, the shooting of him in the back while he was running away was found to be justified. And the officer who shot Tyrus Jones returned to work. Oh. This is a picture of Denzel Duvant. Denzel Duvant was beat at the hands of the Rockford Police Department while he was handcuffed. One of the officers involved in the brutal beating of Denzel Duvant was Officer Dominic McNeese, who just a month earlier had been ruled to be justified in the shooting of an unarmed man in the back. So it is of no surprise that after being ruled to be justified in shooting an unarmed man in the back, he felt it within his job description to be not only an unarmed man but a restrained man with a couple of his partners from the Rockford Police Department. On April 10th, 2021, Faustin Guaitigo was murdered inside of his home by the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies, namely by Winnebago County Sheriff Deputy Joseph Brulard. Faustin Guaitigo was shot upwards of 8 times while inside of his home by the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies. After being shot 8 times, he was then tased. After being shot and tased, he was handcuffed and told to stop resisting arrest as he bled out on the floor. It's very likely that the last words Faustin Guaitigo ever heard was "stop resisting arrest," after he had been shot 8 times and then tased inside of his own home. This is Jose Gonzalez Jr. Jose Gonzalez Jr. was shot 24 hours after Faustin Guaitigo was murdered. Jose Gonzalez Jr. is 19 years old. He was shot while running away by the Rockford Police Department. The bullet shattered his femur. He'll have to have a steel rod in his leg for the rest of his life at 19 years old, and the crime he committed was running away. All right, so just gonna say this, go through this one more time. We got a Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force pamphlets up here. If anybody that's out there watching wants to get one of these pamphlets, feel free to come down to Food Truck Tuesday. We got multiple copies of the pamphlet. I'm going to get ready and end this live here on Facebook because we have went through this routine of reading through these pamphlets multiple times. And I'm going to start doing a live on Instagram and do the Instagram live and just continue what the IGTV episodes we've been doing. All right, watch this video, share this video. Fuck the police.